Hello and welcome everyone to Humanizing the Guest Experience in an Increasingly Tech-Driven World. This is presented by SkyTouch Technology, SHR, and Green Tree Inn. I want to introduce today's presenters. Today we have with us Peggy Joyce from SkyTouch Technology, Kelly Pop from SHR, and Amanda Say from Green Tree Hospitality Group. Why don't I give some introductions here? Peggy has worked in the hotel technology space for over 20 years, and she recently joined SkyTouch Technology in October of 2018 as a product manager for integrations. She has been driving our rapidly adopted /Connect API integration, working with vendors from integration initiation to development. Peggy is the face of SkyTouch in the vendor community, supporting these vital relationships, and as a part of the larger SkyTouch product development team, she works closely with their development, onboarding, and technical support teams. Kelly Pop joined SHR's distribution technology team in 2012 and is currently responsible for sales across the Western United States and Mexico, developing and deploying successful long-range growth and business strategies for core and emerging hotel markets. Striving to break down silos, she works with hotel owners and officers, as well as revenue and reservation managers. Kelly lends her 14-plus years of experience to every point of client contact, from technical product demonstrations to final contracts. And last but certainly not least, Amanda Say. Amanda joined Green Tree Hospitality Group in 2016 and serves as the primary leader within the franchise vertical, providing overall leadership for the corporate franchise operations team to facilitate the continuing effort of delivering outstanding systems, support, and service to its franchisees. Amanda supports the day-to-day hotel operations within Green Tree, franchise onboarding systems, brand standards and governance, marketing, and franchise relationships. Let me go ahead and introduce the agenda for today. We're going to start off talking about the future technology landscape, and then we're going to cover the advantages and concerns for advancing guest technology for both hoteliers and guests. Then we're going to talk about striking the right balance. How can we humanize the guest experience when we incorporate technology? We're going to mention some key takeaways, and then we're going to enter into a short session of Q&A. Now, before I hand off things to our three presenters, I want to encourage everyone listening today to go ahead and send in your questions for the Q&A during the presentation as you think of them. And let's go ahead and start things off. Peggy, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. The future is here. Based on a 2019 hospitality technology, lodging technology study, guests are telling us the top 2 items they're seeking when booking a hotel. They want to use their mobile devices to control the room. For instance, utilizing the ability to change the temperature, stream movies right from their phone, control the curtains, even utilizing mood lighting to change the atmosphere of the room. Also have the ability to select their room based on location within the hotel, similar to the way you would pick airline seat. Kelly, can you talk to us a little bit about guest demands for technology?
Of course. Thanks, Peggy. So we're definitely seeing a growing demand with guests wanting more advanced technology from their hotels. And as we can see here from the statistics we've got on our screen, we've got 60% more likely to choose a hotel with mobile check-in, and mobile key. 37% have been interested in touch screens. 41% expressed some interest in facial recognition, and 40% are looking for advanced technology to actually reduce their travel costs. So with this, caring still counts. So with the advancement in technology, we absolutely must remember that there is a significant connection between engagement and guest spending. So in fact, for those engaged at a property level, we saw an average of $185 more in terms of spending per guest. So therefore, we really must find the balance. There's a need to continue to advance in technology for our hotels, but we absolutely must not lose our hospitality touch. So let's take a look at some of our hotel concerns.
What are some of the concerns the hotels are sharing with us? The biggest concern we see is them losing the heart of the hospitality experience. But what we're seeing is technology is showing us that the personal touch may still not be needed with every transaction that occurs at the property level. As guests are becoming more accustomed to turning to their mobile devices for personal interactions, the balance we were really seeking is to enrich the guest experience through technology and still provide the hospitality experience they expect. I think the key is matching the right technology with the property's demographics.
Those are really great points, Peggy. Adding on to that shift away from the front desk, I recently saw a study that was released from Oxford University that showed that nearly 50% of jobs will be taken over by automation. So this is a huge concern in other industries and obviously at the forefront for us at the hotels. But something interesting that I think really resonated with me was that robots are taking over tasks and not jobs. So if you think about the banking industry and ATM machines, we still have tellers, but ATMs have helped streamline the process and shifted that position in a different way to focus on other areas. So when we look at hospitality with check-in kiosks, it doesn't necessarily mean that jobs are going away, but just that the skill set of the front desk agent may be shifting just a little bit. So I don't think that we'll ever see the front desk truly eliminated, but definitely a concern for us as hoteliers. Kelly, what are your thoughts on some hotelier concerns?
I know there's been a lot of discussion on tapping into different demographics. So while increased technology absolutely might resonate with some demographics, it might also alienate others. So I think we definitely need to be aware of who our guests are to make sure that we're able to touch all of them with the technology that we're providing and definitely not leaving anyone out of that group. I think also when we're dealing with collecting data for some hotels, especially the independent properties where many of us wear many hats on the property level, I think too much data can actually be overwhelming for a hotelier. With all this collection of information, you know, that's another piece of something to manage for the hotel. So what are we going to do with all of this information we've collected, and who will own that process too? So that's definitely a concern, another task for someone to take on. And I think security. Security of everyone's personal information is really on everyone's forefront of their mind. How will our guests feel if we're asking for more information through these advanced technologies? So we want to make sure that we're not putting anyone off by asking for more information through these various ways. I think, Amanda, on the hotel level, you're definitely, for the three of us, most hands-on in seeing the possible concerns. So maybe you can share some more from what you see on the property level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the big challenges that we're facing is making sure that we're implementing a good base technology that we can continue to enhance along the way and that will still be relevant in a few years, which leads me into the two types of technology that our group really looks at, fad technology versus trend technology. Fad meaning here today, gone tomorrow. So a good example outside of tech that I think we can all relate to is with the fidget spinner. I mean, who remembers those? Those were pretty hot just recently. So you don't want to implement something that you then have to overhaul. It's expensive and not a good use of your company resources long term. So I think really as hoteliers, we need to be focusing on trending technology and making sure that the base technology in place that allows for future enhancements along the way. Another concern that our group is constantly challenged with is on the various systems and integrations that are out there. There's really so many systems that require extensive integrations or that aren't compatible with existing systems. So I think as a hotelier, you really have to think about identifying that right technology for your hotel and what's going to make the biggest impact on your guests, your team, and providing some type of ROI. So again, there's so many systems out there, but making sure that you're not managing too many is key as well. The point of technology is to really streamline tasks and make it easier. So if it's not making your life easier, then it's probably not the right technology for you or your group. But, I mean, enough on the concern side. Peggy, do you want to talk about some of the advantages that you're seeing with technology?
Thanks, Amanda. Hotelier advantages. Reduce turnover by empowering the guests with tools that make communication seamless so everyone is on the same page, which will allow guests to receive rapid response to their inquiries. At SkyTouch, we introduced a new API integration called Flash Connect. It enables SkyTouch to exchange information with integrated vendors to better service the guests. We can also improve efficiency with these advanced integrations. We found that hotel staff can now concentrate on improving the guest interaction instead of looking at the screen. Also increased profitability with the right amount of information. When the right amount of information is provided at the right time to the right system, timely revenue and packing decisions happen faster with more accuracy.
Yeah, Peggy, I think profitability is key. If we're not profitable as hoteliers, then we're not successful. So I think there's some advantages that we're seeing with technology, and one is really the opportunity to differentiate your brand. So a key advantage that we're seeing is there are more technology solutions available at a lower cost that can help us better understand our guests than the traditional ways of doing business. So for example, our group launched the SMS mobile messaging platform about 3 years ago and really saw how impactful this technology was not only for our guests, but our own staff. So it's really helped streamline some of the tasks for our front desk with automated pre-arrival text messages, improved efficiencies through our responses, and also being able to perform guest service recovery mid and post-stay. So a recent stat that was published from Whistle Messaging shows that 1 in 26 unhappy guests actually express their frustration during their stay. So by staying in front of this while the guest is on property, this has allowed us to better recover some of our opportunities through the messaging platform. So we've even taken our messaging platform one step further. Just last week, we launched a live chat on our website. So now guests are able to communicate with each of our properties instantly throughout their discovery, planning, and booking process. Another point is mobile apps have also become an interesting way of creating additional means for a guest to connect with a brand. It may not make sense for every hotel or brand out there, but certainly as we move forward out of the millennial generation and into the I generation, a mobile app is something that you should take into consideration. There are a lot of tasks that mobile apps can be used for to help streamline your operation, from selecting a room, checking in, checking out, getting access to your room. So I think that leads us into our next item on the environmental impacts for our guests. There's really been a huge shift towards sustainability, and a lot of these are actually taking place with some of the advancements that we're seeing in technology. We're using less resources with keyless entry, reducing our plastic key card consumption, digital surveys and folios, and lighting. So as a consumer, as we become more mindful of the environmental impact that we're having, this is certainly a way that we can leverage how a hotel implements technology to differentiate their brand.
I agree wholeheartedly, Amanda. I can foresee how having the mobile app available can instantly communicate with the guest. We're talking to the guests how they want to be communicated, how they're used to being communicated through their mobile device.
I personally
Kelly?
love I absolutely love the text message piece, and I experienced it just a week ago on the consumer side. I was checking into a hotel and exchanged pleasantries with the front desk agent who was helping me out, getting me all set, getting me my keys. And by the time I got up to my room, I had received a text message. So typically I would receive these text messages. I've experienced that a couple times in my hotel stays. But this particular one was signed by the guest agent that I just spoke with. So it took that technology and really added that personal touch. So I felt as if, I loved the technology piece, but I also appreciated the relationship and the communication with the person that I just spoke with. So I think this is a great way for hotels to advance with technology, yet still hold on to that personal touch. So there's a lot more opportunities, I think, in the booking platform, which is what SHR focuses on. But there's definitely opportunity with systems that are interfaced well. We have the option to increase the booking process in offering packages, as well as offering our guests an opportunity to create their own package through add-ons. So if we know more about our guests, we can ensure that the packages that we're presenting speak to their needs and their wants for their business travel or leisure travel or what have you. More advanced hotel systems can absolutely save time and money. So finding systems that will work for you on the hotel level is really important. So your staff can actually focus on the guests when you have your systems in place that work well together, are interfaced well, and are helping you be more efficient. So obviously, as we heard in one of the initial stats, guests are looking for opportunities for technology to save them money, and I think time is money. So this definitely hits on that topic. So now that we've talked about some of the advantages, there's definitely some concerns out there. So Peggy, what are you guys seeing on the concern side from the guests?
Thanks, Kelly. When thinking about what the right balance of technology should be, we need to make sure the guest is getting something out of it and it's just not considered a cool tool. Adoption rate. Consider a phased approach when introducing new technology. This will give the staff and the guests the opportunity to try the new tech without having to be concerned about having a human interaction. The human is still there for them. Also, we need to consider privacy concerns. Ensure your guest information is protected by selecting partners that not only utilize the minimum amount of data, but also understand how much data is needed to complete the transaction.
You know, we're seeing some of the same on our end as well. I think as consumers, most of us have seen and read about those unfortunate situations where there's been a breach in security. Some of us may have even received those dreaded letters that our own personal information has been compromised. So I think that's absolutely a real concern and could be a deterrent for the guests. From our standpoint as well, consumers want to know how their data is being used. So we definitely want to make sure that we are clear when we're collecting our data and making our guests feel comfortable in that process. And that there's an easy opt-out. I know I've experienced times I've thought I've opted out of things and it didn't happen. So we want to make sure that not only do we have those opt-out options available, but they are working properly. As I think these are all real concerns from the guest side.
Yeah, expanding off of Kelly's points of the data and privacy concerns, I think brings us to who are we really talking to? Is it a person or a chat bot? And depending on that experience and how that answer gets resolved, it can lead to a frustrating experience for the guest. Another area that guests are worried about, and even myself as a traveler, is with system glitches. So a recent example, I was traveling, and a week before my arrival, the hotel sent a pre-arrival text message letting me know that they were excited for my arrival tomorrow. So initially I panicked, thinking that I had booked the wrong dates, but eventually figured out that their system had a glitch. So I think it's extremely frustrating and sets up a poor guest experience even before I had checked into the hotel with that system glitch. So as the growing trend of robots continues and they become more sophisticated, it really should make our lives easier for the guest, but if they can't tell who they're speaking with or it doesn't address their concerns, then that's really a problem for the guest.
I'm going to share another personal story because I travel a lot, and a lot of this has come up with me on a personal level. So just as you had shared, Amanda, I had an experience where I had a kiosk for a check-in, which was great. I loved checking in at the kiosk, but then all of a sudden it occurred to me that I had certain questions that I typically would ask the front desk agent when I would typically check into a property, and none of that information was provided to me on the kiosk, and I couldn't find anyone available to answer my basic questions of what time is checkout the next day, where's the coffee shop or the closest coffee shop, and Wi-Fi passwords and things like that I usually collect in my exchange with a live person. So I think there's definitely a concern with moving to technology that we might miss out on the exchange of information. Peggy, what are you guys seeing from your end on guest advantages? I know we've talked a little bit now about the concerns from a guest perspective.
Well, we're seeing advanced technology and what it can do for the guest experience, allow for a quicker response time. They have added convenience and ease of use on site. All of these contribute to a more customized experience for the guests. Guests are now more than ever accustomed to instant response via their mobile phone, which utilizing the mobile phone to enhance the guest experience via integrated partners, it really can be an easy transition to introduce new advanced technologies, such as mobile check-in, guest messaging, and energy management. Kelly, what are you seeing on the guest advantages?
So going back to the booking process of what we focus on, a booking process that is clear, allows the guest to make their booking quickly and efficiently, of course, is going to save them time, and time is money. So wrapping that back around again from our initial statistic, having a booking engine that gives you the opportunity to reduce the amount of clicks to make that process really streamlined, I think is important and a great advantage for the guests. And as we know more about our guests, we can definitely provide them more relevant information. Additionally, on the booking engine side, more advanced booking engines will allow for more easy opportunities to make modifications. So having an option for clicking right back in from the booking engine to the existing reservations to make modifications, additions, or cancellations, it's a great opportunity there. The guests can do that at any point. They don't have to worry about what time of the day it is or worry about having to pick up the phone and speak to an agent and go through all of that Q&A. I think that's a great option as well and a great advantage for our guests. So for us, we have a call to continue feature, which I think is a great option that allows the guests a combination. So from a mobile perspective, a guest could begin a transaction on their mobile device and then decide to talk to an agent. So I think, that's definitely important if we're looking at these technologies to make sure, again, that we hit the needs of all demographics. We have the technology available, but we also have that live hospitality touch point as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly. So thinking about the humanizing the guest experience, how do we strike the right balance? Being able to not only capture guest information and to provide that information to the systems that will further enhance the guest experience, whether that's a CRM that understands the right marketing to send to a guest, or a CRS that understands the right offers to serve up to the guest based on the data that's been collected. Advanced integrations can also give your staff more confidence. They can meet the guest's needs in a timely manner, as well as predicting or recommending upgrades to the hotel offers that guests may not be aware of. Kelly and Amanda, can you tell us about the technology that could be enhanced through the hospitality experience?
Yeah, Peggy, I think hospitality has typically been a slow adopter of technology, but the trends are showing that we really need to look at technology in a more serious way, and I think we're starting to get there. But there's also a learning curve that we have to understand, not only about our guests, but our employees and front desk, that some people are going to be early adopters of some of this technology, and then you're going to have some that just won't ever adapt. So finding that right balance and identifying a technology that'll work for both of those demographics are key, and finding the right technology partner who has the resources and ability to get the products on the market and evolve with your hotel over time is so important. I think one of our recommendations for technology is starting small. Make sure that you identify a good technology that has a strong base, but that makes sense for your organization, and build off of that. Remember, you don't want to have to overhaul a system because it failed or it's obsolete in a few years. So it's important that we're aware of the technology that are out there, but also what makes sense for you and your hotel. One of the determining factors for our group is price. We focus on the limited service economy to mid-scale segments, so we're extremely sensitive to the operator's bottom line. So we know that we have to embrace technology, but at what price? And while some of the larger brands out there may be able to support these tech advancements, we also have to find that right balance between tech and cost. Kelly, what are your thoughts?
I think we definitely want to know our guests, and that will help us. The more information we have about our guests, the more we know the demographics of our clients that are coming into the properties, the more we can determine what's the right technology. But from a technology standpoint, hotels really need to choose partners that will work well together, and that have historically shown advancements, innovations, and continued growth. Because we don't know today what all of the future technology will be and the right answer for every hotel. But I think choosing those partners that we know work well together and have that history of being innovative will definitely help, because you know that that partner would then grow with you. You know, I mentioned it a couple times. I think a real key point here is making sure that we have the technology available for those guests that are interested, but always having that staff available that can provide that communication and support and the hospitality touch. If we move into all kiosks and self-check-in and all text message communication, I think as hoteliers, we're just turning into a vending machine and really losing our hospitality touch. And I think that's really important. Remembering the word hospitality, why this business started, and the core of it, I think is always going to be important.
Those are awesome points.
Thank you, everyone. So let's discuss a few key takeaways together. First, technology doesn't have to eliminate the human interaction. What do you all think about that?
I honestly think it enhances the interaction based on the response time technology provides. It's rapid response, most times instantaneous.
I agree. If done correctly, it absolutely can enhance it.
Yeah, I think that's key, is done correctly, though.
Okay, and I think piggybacking off of that, our second takeaway, advanced technologies can actually help assist the guests and staff. How have you all seen this in action?
Yeah, for
advanced
us,
technology. Go ahead.
I think from the hotel standpoint, the front desk, it's freed them up a little bit more and created more of an automated experience. Looking at the SMS messaging platform, it's helped eliminate some of those mundane tasks and setting up a better experience for that guest ahead of time.
Exactly. Advanced technologies like a virtual assistants, Siri and Alexa, being able to have energy management and control the room, as well as CRMs that offer customized surveys or personalized messaging, so the front desk can respond very quickly.
Okay, how about our third takeaway for today? Hotel efficiencies, experiences, and profitability can actually be improved through the right integrations.
That's absolutely correct. As we look at different ways to improve our efficiency through the right integrations, looking at your demographic for your hotel, what are the needs and the takeaways that you need to have to improve your efficiency, making sure that your staff's morale is brought up to the right speed, giving them the tools to respond to the guest needs at the right time with the right answer.
I agree, Peggy. I think, having the technologies work well together, but also having a great team behind those technologies that provides support to your hotel staff. You can have a great technology in place at a hotel, but if the staff wasn't necessarily trained well, or if that support isn't available or readily available to them, then it's not going to provide the benefit that the initial investment was aiming towards.
And I think that's exactly right. Choosing the right vendors that meet the needs that you have for your staff, making sure that they understand your staff needs, because everyone's customizable. Every staff is different.
Well, I think that's a great segue into our last takeaway for today, that increased personalization can elevate, not alienate, the guest experience. What do you all think about that?
Yeah, Chris, I think guests want to be recognized. And by increasing that personalization, you can really enhance that experience throughout their stay, pre-arrival, on-site, and enhance through that entire hotel experience.
Okay. Well, let's jump into our Q&A for today. First question that we've received, and I'll pose this to the entire group. What do you see as the newest technologies coming in 2019 and 2020 that you would like to possibly be incorporated into not only maybe your hotels, but for your clients?
One of the areas that Green Tree has started to focus on from our corporate properties is implementing door locks to get us ready for keyless entry. It may not necessarily be new for some of the larger brands, but I think that that's definitely a shift that we'll start to see in 2019 and 2020 from additional independents or smaller brands that are out there. I think it's a great technology that will help just help the overall experience for that guest through check-in and being able to utilize their mobile device throughout their stay.
Exactly, and we see the enhancements with that mobile key is also being able to check the status of the room. When does that guest check in? Getting a timestamp. When are they leaving? You can also have check the battery status on the door lock as well.
Amanda, I've got a question that just came in that I think would be good for you. The comment here is that there's been research that's come out recently that some in-room technologies, such as virtual assistants, might be more of a deterrent than an enhancement to a good guest experience. What's your experience been so far at Green Tree, especially when it comes to using tools like Whistle?
Yeah, I think Whistle has really helped, increase that entire in-room experience for the guest with letting them know that their room is ready before check-in and continuing to engage with that guest throughout their stay. We have guests that don't necessarily want to interact with the front desk, and so with a simple text message, they can communicate their needs and wants throughout their stay.
Okay. Next question, and I'm going to pose this to the whole group. Are there any technology trends that you're seeing pop up right now in the marketplace that you might be hesitant to either implement at one of your properties or recommend to one of your clients?
I can take that. I think for our group, where we focus on the limited service side of things, some of the in-room tablets, they're great tools to have. I personally don't use them when I travel, but I think that from a cost perspective, I'm not sure if that makes sense for all hotels that are out there. I think there's other areas that you can compensate with to offer some of that same in-room experience opportunity.
Okay. Our next question, and I'll pose this to the group because I know you may have some different perspectives here, but when you're evaluating a new piece of technology, what's the process that you tend to go through? Why don't we start with Peggy and then go to Kelly and then Amanda?
I definitely think that goes back to the demographics of the property, understanding the size of it, what are the pain points for the staff, what comments are you receiving from the guest, what's going to really enhance the guest experience, providing the best customer service that allows your staff to have for the guest. I definitely think those are the main points you need to look at, and what type of integrations will best benefit your property.
Yeah, from a perspective from the interfaces of technologies, I think a hotel needs to ask themselves, what are their biggest needs? So, for example, if they're a big group property, they want to make sure that group bookings, group reservations are going to flow from their systems where they're not going to have to continuously double up on work and manage that aspect in multiple systems. So when looking at different technologies, you first want to make sure that there is an interface, and then what are the specifics to that interface? And then even outside of that, how well do those companies work together? Because just because there's an interface there doesn't mean that there's a frequent communication between the two. I think that brings a great value to hotels when these various technologies out there not only interface, but communicate and work well together on the guest's behalf?
Yeah, that's a really great point, Kelly. That relationship is key for those vendors. So I think on our end, we're not only evaluating what our specific needs are for certain technologies, but also evaluating the ROI and how that contributes to our efficiencies, to our team, and to the guest. Another aspect that we look at is it's expensive to integrate new technologies, so really going through a full vetting process and making sure that you do it right. Again, technologies, there's different ones out there, and there's so many out there that may be obsolete 2 years from now, so making sure that it's more of a long-term technology that we're implementing and that it's conducive to what our business model and guests are wanting. Also, both of you covered on the interface and integrations, but that's so key. That can become so expensive when you have to start integrating with different systems and making sure that it's even compatible with your systems. And then another area from an operational standpoint is how much initial and ongoing training is there. So any new technology that you roll out to your staff can be time consuming and then definitely adds a layer of complexity for ongoing training.
Okay, next question. Peggy, I'm going to pose this to you first. What would you consider the must-haves in advanced integrations right now?
At SkyTouch, we're looking at advanced integrations in a revenue management world, how to increase the profit at the hotels while maximizing inventory. We're looking at our CRM partners for their customer surveys and personalized messaging. As Amanda mentioned, we are looking at our mobile door lock keys and how to unlock that guest room. Also, extremely important is the maintenance and housekeeping management, leaving our front desk staff with more time to interact with our guests face-to-face. And lastly, guest messaging, as Amanda mentioned, we're really focusing, working with our vendor Whistle, on bringing forth that integration, as we can see it's such a huge benefit to the staff and the guests.
Okay. I want to thank our panelists today, and I want to thank everyone for joining us on the webinar today, Humanizing the Guest Experience in an Increasingly Tech-Driven World. If we didn't get a chance to answer your question, or if you would like more information from our speakers, you can contact Peggy Joyce at SkyTouch, Kelly Pop at SHR, and Amanda Say at Green Tree Hospitality Group to learn more. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We'll talk to you soon.